Okay, I believe I am live. Let me check my connection and make sure that I can hear myself, and I can, and we can continue on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another day of getting to self-actualization. I am your coach, Yasheka, and I am a life strategist and self-actualization coach. And we are continuing on with this series of getting to self-actualization. And if this is your first time here, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and leave a comment below and let me know if you got something from this live or from this series at all, or if there's something that you would like for me to talk about. All right, so let's get right to it. Today we are talking about you're not tired, you're spiritually malnourished. Now, just last week, or shall I say at the beginning of this series, I did another one that said you're not lazy, you're overwhelmed. And I think that these two kind of go hand in hand. But back then when I did that one, I was talking about lazy as in your physical, like you know how you have to go back and watch that one. But I basically talk about how sometimes you can be so overwhelmed until it will cause you to not move at all. You know, sometimes you can have so much on you until it makes you paralyzed to do anything. Okay. Well, today we're talking about you're not tired, you're spiritually malnourished. And so when you think about the spirit and when you think about the term malnourished, that means that your spirit is not getting what it needs in order to thrive, right? And sometimes when your spirit is not getting what you need in order to thrive, it will come off as you being tired, right? You can get 8 hours of sleep. Okay. This is how you know that you need spiritual restoration. This is how you know that you need physical rest and spiritual restoration. And these two are separate, okay? Spiritual rest is not spiritual restoration. When it comes to spiritual restoration, you have to deliberately do things that pours into that. Get 8 hours of sleep will not restore your spirituality. It will not restore you. It will not help you to align with your purpose. Those are two different things, right? So when we talk about physical rest and spiritual restoration, you can get 8 hours of sleep and you're still tired, right? That's because your soul sometimes can be fatigued. Your soul can sometimes can be tired. And when I mean by soul, I mean everything that embodies who you are, all your everything about you. Listen, I know that sometimes we go through life and we give to other people, and we give hoping that one day people will give back to us. But that's not always the case, right? Sometimes we do things in life, sometimes things go on in life, and at the end of the day, you have to be the one that sees about you. So even when it talks about physical rest and spiritual restoration, 8 hours is not going to restore your spirituality. It's not going to restore you. You have to be able to dig into that. And the way you dig into that is being intentional about the things that you do, right? You're pouring from a place that you haven't refilled. And this is how you know that your spirit is malnourished. It's when you are pouring from a place that has not refilled. If you follow me on any of this self-actualization journey or getting to self-actualization, I've talked about it before. You guys, listen, if you're here, you've heard this before. Never give from your cup. You always give from your overflow in terms of helping other people, in terms of being there for other people. You never give from your cup. So think about a cup. Think about a little teacup, you know, for you fancy folks out there. Get a little teacup, right? And you have a saucer. A teacup is in a saucer, right? At least it's supposed to, right? A little teacup. You put it inside the saucer, you put it down, right? And so as you're pouring liquid into the teacup, it overflows into the saucer. That's why the saucer is there to catch anything that does not fit into the cup. Okay, so in life, when it comes to pouring into other people, you are supposed to give from the cup that's at the bottom, right? This the tea that's on the saucer, not from inside the cup. However, a lot of us tend to give from what's inside of our cup. Unfortunately, when we give inside of that cup, like say you say, okay, well, I'm just gonna give somebody a sip of my cup over here because this is a family member and they need me. So I'm going to give them a little bit of sip from my cup. Now, I don't have anything at the bottom of the saucer. I'm going to give them from a sip from my cup. That's one family member. Oh, yeah. But by the way, the same time, A friend needs a sip of your cup too, a sip of your tea from your cup. So now you're giving it to that friend over there. Oh, your cup is not as full as it was, right? And then before you know it, you're giving, 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 giving. And guess what? You have not filled your own cup back up. You have not went back into your overflow of the things that's in a saucer. So now guess what? Your cup is not full anymore neither. Okay. It's just like this. You want your cup to be full all times. And the way you do that is by giving to your overflow, by giving from your overflow, not from what's in your cup. Okay. Because your cup has to be refilled as well. And a lot of times we're not able to get that from other people. We have to give that to ourselves. Okay. Now, how about listening from it this way? Right here, it says, you're not weak, you're underfed. You've been feeding your ego, your responsibilities, your image, but starving your intuition, your peace, and your joy. Think about that, right? You can feed your ego. In other words, your ego will tell you, I have to do this. I have to put an S on my chest to become Superman, Superwoman, superhuman, whoever, and take care of all these people that need me, right? 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 Because this is what I do. This is how I show up. This is who I am, right? And that may very well be true. But is it your ego that tells you that you have to be the person that saved this person? Right? If that's what you're trying to do, save them or be there for them, right? What is it that's driving you? Because sometimes your ego will drive you, and before you know it, you'll be so burnt out because you're feeding your ego instead of feeding the things that need to be fed, right? You're feeding your ego instead of feeding the things that need to be fed, such as your image, your responsibilities, right? But you're starving your intuition, your self peace, and your joy because you're feeding your ego, you're feeding everything, your image, you're feeding all those things, right? Because I got to show up good for the camera. I got to look. Listen, if I'm doing all this, then I'm Captain Save 'em whatever. If I'm doing all this, then I'm Captain Save 'em whatever, right? That's you, right? But you have to remember, if this is something that you desire and want to do, okay, put the ego to the side, put everything to the side, and focus on how do I make sure that when I do give to other people, I'm not giving them from my overflow. I mean, excuse me, from my cup. I'm giving them from my overflow. Okay. And stop reaching for quick fixes. Okay. Sit with the truth. Stop reaching for quick fixes. And what I mean by reaching for quick fixes is if you are tired and you are spiritually malnourished, drinking coffee is not going to get you there. All right. Taking a quick bath or going on a quick trip or whatever, that's not going to necessarily get you there. This is something that you have to be intentional about all the time. It's daily maintenance. All right. That means that you need to be able to find places that's quiet, right? Somewhere that you can meditate on a daily basis. This is not something you do once a week. This is not something you do when you think about it or when you overwhelm. These are things you do every day, especially when you know that your spirit is malnourished. You find some place that's quiet, you meditate. Okay. Listen, I cannot say this enough. Enforce your boundaries. Enforce your boundaries. Do not compromise or bend on your boundaries for anyone. Because when you start doing that, not only will you do it for yourself, I mean for one person, then you start doing it for many people. And then before you know it, you're like, wait a minute, hold up. Right? I didn't bend my boundaries so much until I don't even know what I really stand for anymore, right? You can't get lost in that, right? Because again, that's your spirit. That's who you are to the core. You're flexible. You're being this way. You're being this way, trying to be for everybody else. And when you start bending your boundaries, you get lost about who you are. Okay. Creative expression. Listen, I love doing things that allows me to just sit with whatever it is. Okay. I consider myself a abstract painter. Okay. Now, if you see my painting in my garages, I hang them up all in my garages. Okay. If you see the painting in my garages, y'all know I am far from Picasso. Okay. I am far from Picasso. But you can't tell me that I'm not an abstract painter. You know why? Because being an abstract painter means that I get to do whatever I want to do in terms of what looks good to me. So I'll get all kind of colors and I'll pour them into one big cylinder and then I'll pour them on top of a canva, right? And whatever comes out is abstract to me. And then once it dries, I can look at it and decide, okay, what is this? Those are some ways in which I pour into myself, right? Those are ways in which I feed my spirit because I'm being creative. I'm letting things that's inside of me flow. So now I get to just create with my hands. Or I might go out in the yard and garden and things like that, creating things with your hands, doing things that you created, right? Those are ways that you pour into yourself because you're using your imagination, not nobody else's influence. You're using your imagination and you're just going with it. And one thing about being creative, there's no right or wrong way to do it. You get to do whatever feels right for you. That's it. And then making real connections, right? Going out intentionally and connecting with people, going to social groups, going to meetups, meeting people that are your peers. Maybe you have groups that you're part of or whatever. Maybe you part of different, like, I don't know, maybe you play bingo with a couple of people, whatever. Those type of things actually help speed you spiritually, because you're interacting, you're getting things from people, you're feeding to them, they're feeding to them to you. These are things that help you when it comes to feeding your soul, when you know that spiritually you are malnourished. And then, of course, your intentional presence, being in the moment, right? I heard this morning while I was meditating, I was listening to some things. The safest time in your life is right now. This is the safest time in your life right now. Because right now, you know that right now, whatever second this is, whatever minute this is, right now, you're safe. Right now, you're here. Right now, there's nothing going on as I say this, right? Right now, 5 minutes from now, we don't know what's going to happen, but right now, you're safe. So if you're safe right now, you need to be in this moment, because we don't know what happens 5 minutes from now. We don't know what happens tomorrow. So you need to be intentionally present in the moment, right? When you can breathe in, like you go outside. Like for me, I like to do this thing called earthing, right? I do that almost every morning, okay? Especially in the good weather. Now I can't go out there when it's snow on the ground, okay? But when we don't have snow, whether it's spring, fall, or summer, I go outside and I earth, which is when I walk on the ground in my backyard or my front yard in the grass with no shoes on. And when I go outside, especially in my backyard, I'm able to hear birds chirping. I can hear, it's like I can hear spirit talking to me. It's like you can hear it, right? Those are moments where I am so thankful that I can be present for them, because it's like I can hear whatever it is I need to hear. I can hear my own thoughts. I hear the birds chirping, right? I can feel the grass up under my feet. I can feel whatever slight air is breezing by. I can feel the sun shining on me, right? I am present in that moment. And in those moments, I feel restored. That's what I take from that. In that moment, I feel restored. Like I said, I'll hear the birds chirping. Then every now and then I hear a crow come in, like they saying, hey. And for me, those are the ancestors. Those are the ancestors telling me that I'm okay. Those are the ancestors telling me that I am okay, that they got me. So that's how I be in the moment. That's how I pour into myself to be spiritually nourished when I know that I'm spiritually now malnourished. These are things that I do every single day. Okay. Now, I don't know who this is for, but I know this is for somebody. Okay. Now, as we close out this episode of You're Not Tired, You're Spiritually Malnourished, I want you to think about things that get you tired, or things that you realize that, are making you malnourished. So when we talk about rest, physical rest ain't spiritual restoration. In order to get spiritual restoration, right, you need to feed the soul by any means necessary, right? Whatever works for you, all right? Pouring from a place that haven't been refilled, okay? Do not give from your cup. Give from your overflow always. Always, always, always. Because why? You're responsible for refilling your cup. Nobody else. Now, can they add to it? Absolutely. But it's up to you to refill your cup. You're not weak, you're underfed. Okay. So when you think about things that's going on, is it your ego that's causing you to keep on being? Is it your ego that's causing you to do this and do this and do this? Or are you doing it because you know that these things, you're doing it from a place of intuition, your peace, and your joy? Why? Because that's what's starving the most, not your ego. You feed your peace and your joy. You feed your peace and your joy and your intuition, not your ego. Okay. Stop reaching for quick fixes, right? Sit with the truth. If you know for a fact that you're hustling and bustling and you have no clarity, that's something you need to sit and think about. What am I not clear about? Where am I headed? Because in order to be self-actualized, you have to know where you are going, right? You have to know where whatever road you are on is taking you there. Now, granted, every now and then we might get a little sidetracked. We might take a different street. We might make a wrong turn. We might go right instead of left. We might go left instead of right. We might keep straight instead of making a turn. We don't know. But what I do know is that all roads supposed to lead to your forever. All roads supposed to lead to what it is in this earth, on this earth, that you are supposed to leave behind when you're gone. That's what self-actualizing is. You are here to live your purpose. And when you're gone, your purpose are still here. The things that you created is still here, right? And that's what self-actualizing is, to be able to get to that part where you understand that. You get to the part where you can live in that world for yourself to create that abundance that you've been promised. And so, listen, I don't know who this is for, but if you are coming through, listen, go ahead and drop below. I choose to be nourished. Okay, just tell me you choose to be nourished. Say something. Say, I receive this, because why? I know that for me to be okay, I have to do things that's going to help me find my quiet place, reinstill, or should I say, make sure that I don't compromise my boundaries, be creative, expressively, like do things that feed your creative side, right? Make real connections with people when you're out and about, not just going out, just make real connections, and then intentionally be present, right? Those are ways in which you feed back into your soul. Okay. So if that is you, like I said, go ahead down below and choose and type in, I choose to be nourished. Okay. And so again, this is getting to self-actualization. You're not tired, you're spiritually malnourished. And this is, I'm wrapping this particular episode up. And so listen, if you are looking for a life strategist or self-actualization coach, I am her, she is I am me. Okay. I am the one, because trust me, once you work with me or you talk with me or you set up a council with me, you're going to want to hire me as your coach. So go ahead and DM me or look up the link below or download this video, and you can set up an appointment and a 15-minute consultation, totally free, right? To see if I'm a good coach for you. But trust me, like I said, if you get to, when you talk to me, you're going to want to work with me, honey. You're going to want to work with me. So listen, check me tomorrow at 9 o'clock at the same time here on YouTube as we continue on with getting to self-actualization. And don't forget to like, share, and follow, and tell me what you think about this series, okay? I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye. Have a good day.